All right, good evening and welcome to the Hanson Select Board meeting of February 11th, 2025. This meeting is being recorded by Whitman Hanson Community Access Television. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. What's that? Mr. Hill, we have a full house, but before we get down to business, we need you to read the public announcements and upcoming meetings.
Lucky me. We are looking for citizens at large to become members of the following committees: the Bylaw Committee, the Cable and Internet Committee, the Camp Kiwanee Commission, Capital Improvement Committee, Conservation Commission, Economic Development Committee, Energy Committee, Historical Commission, Memorial Day and Public Patriotic Observance Committee, the Recreation Committee, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. Volunteer applications may be found at the town website, www.hanson-ma.gov, or by calling the Select Board office at 781-293-2131. The Economic Development Committee is hosting Hanson's first business summit on February 27th, 2025 at 5:30 at Camp Kiwanee. There is a raffle entrance for the first 25 businesses that RSVP, which is preferred but not required. Be certain to bring plenty of business cards for networking with other local businesses. There will be special guest speakers, networking opportunities, breakout sessions, and current hot topics. Town officials available for your business questions. Light refreshments will be served. The committee is here to assist you in finding the looks and support, the tools, and support needed to navigate your business with ease. To RSVP or any questions, please call 781-293-9035 or email at edc@hanson-mass.gov. And the upcoming Select Board meetings are February 25th, 2025, March 11th, 2025, and March 25th, 2025. And is this something I'm supposed to read? This was in with the...
No, that's something we're going over later. I think it was just an ancillary piece. Yep. Okay, great. With that, and I'm sorry, I'm not contagious. I've got some kind of weird allergic thing going on today. With that, yes. Sure. Okay, great. So first up is appoint Cameron Carpenter as Town of Hanson Police Officer, appoint Tom Malloy as Town of Hanson Police Officer, and appoint Kyle Gormby as Town of Hanson Police Officer.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending this. I'll try not to take up too much of the board's time. I want to thank Madam Chair and the members of the board for giving us this opportunity to recognize our new officers. Some just getting here. Some might have been here a few minutes longer. But I think it's just important as they get sworn in the first day up at Town Hall by Beth, and we know what she does. This is something just to recognize and give the family an opportunity to come here, see some of the new faces, and able to just demonstrate the culture we have, the great officers that we bring onto the town, and what these men and women do every day for us. So I just, again, thank you for that opportunity. I want to recognize that the chiefs of the room might be bouncing around. Chief Mix is out back, possibly, but anyway. What I'm going to do, gentlemen, is I'm going to introduce you individually, talk a little bit about you, have you guys lined up, we'll call you all up as I introduce you, and then I'll ask you to invite the individuals who will be pinning you, and then Beth, if you want to, just simultaneously group them all both, sort them all in all together, that way we can possibly explain this a little further. I'm going to first start with Officer Cameron Carpenter. So, Cam was important to hire Cam in August of 2023. He's a lifelong resident, comes from a great family. He went off to college. He was able to obtain his master's degree at Merrimack University, correct? Where he then proceeded in the MPTC program up there and was able to get his academy certification. We were fortunate, we went through the process, Cam interviewed, he did excellent. He came on the police department, he fulfilled all his obligations, he did his FTO, and then I failed him to get him up here, so I apologize on that. Like everyone in our department, and I use this word often, we have stud and set up. Cam is young, he loves the community, he showed his expression that he wanted to be here, get other opportunities, and we couldn't be more than happy to have him. So I just formally want to welcome you, Cam, to the police department. Next we have is, where is, Tommy Malloy. Come on. Officer is also a local resident. He grew up in Whitman. We have just been fortunate to obtain Tommy through a lateral transfer from Plymouth PD. He was on the job for a year and a half down there. He is a 13-year Marine veteran, served our country honorably, and he married a local girl, and he expressed some interest. We were able to do an interview process, and we were hired Tommy in late December of 2024. Came in, he went through the FTO program. He round back, he's another stud. We're fortunate, we tend to attract really qualified individuals. They want to come here, they want to serve here. We welcome Tommy back. It's Officer Tommy Malloy. Officer Kyle Crombie. Now, this one was a little funky. All right, Kyle is another outstanding young man. He comes from Berkeley, he went to Edgewater State. He was able to get his criminal justice degree. He entered the MPTC Police Academy along with Tommy Malloy about a year and a half ago, and he was a full-time police officer down in Truro. Kyle's from Berkeley, and he's making his way back up here since we were able to hire him early this month of February. Kyle and Tommy were actually academy mates. So when we put out another transfer application, Kyle was interested, went through the entire process, topped the list, and we're just excited to have him. We're excited for him to go through the FTO program and start his career here, and I'm quite certain that Kyle's just as excited. So I want to welcome Kyle to the Hanson Police Department. If you guys, gentlemen, want to introduce individually who's going to pin you, starting with you, Cam, that'd be great, and then welcome them up.
My mother, John Carpenter, he's sitting here. My wife Whitney and my daughter Ingrid. My girlfriend Selena.
Whenever you're ready, Beth, if you want to.
Gentlemen, raise your right hand, please. Do you, Cameron Carpenter, Kyle Crombie, and Thomas Malloy solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as a police officer to the best of your abilities in accordance with the bylaws of the town and the laws of the Commonwealth? I do.
Really do.
Congratulations, thank you.
All right.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Welcome on board, congratulations.
Thank you.
Can't reach out there anymore.
Congratulations.
Welcome aboard, congratulations.
Well, we're excited. What else have you got for us?
Have more.
All right.
transition, with the old is going out, and the new is coming in. We have some exciting, we have some retirements. Officer Hughes of 32 years, she'll be retiring at the end of June. Chief Mix of 30-plus years is going to be retiring at the end of June. So as our older officers are leaving, we're able to obtain these guys and girls and build the force back up. I'm going to introduce now to you is Sergeant Brian Shaughnessy. Another stud. And for many reasons. Brian came to us a couple of years back from the Sheriff's Department. He looks young, but he's way beyond his years. Right from the outset, he fit in, he's willing to learn, he keeps his mouth shut, and he just does an outstanding job. He's from Bridgewater, he's recently been married, a new baby, so exciting times for him. Last year, due to some vacancies and situations and retirements coming up, we were able to conduct that sergeant's test that I had come in front of the board for. Ryan just blew it out of the water. He did an excellent job, as they all did, but he was able to just demonstrate and show that it didn't matter about his age or the years on. He had what it takes to be a leader, and Ryan is clearly a leader, and his future in the Hanson Police is extremely bright, and he's going to have a very successful career. He's an outstanding officer, works great with everybody, and we love to have him. So I want to just congratulate Sergeant Ryan Shaughnessy and give him an opportunity to introduce who will be coming up to pin.
My wife and my son both.
Sorry, I jumped the That's okay. Ryan, raise your right hand, please. Do you, Ryan Shaughnessy, solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as police sergeant to the best of your abilities in accordance with the bylaws of the town and the laws of the Commonwealth?
I do.
And you did sign, please.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Ryan, congratulations.
Thank you.
So that is it, Madam Chair, with the swearing-ins and the promotion announcement.
Okay, great. But that is not it for our recognitions. Nope, we are all about first responders tonight, and every day, but particularly tonight. With that, we are going to recognize 3 officers. Exactly, we share your enthusiasm.
Bring the fire.
Sure, yeah, that would be great. So our first, police officer is Mark Vigneault. And our second would be, William Fraser. I thought I saw you. Oh, yeah. And Robert Mansfield. And Deputy Charlie Barons, are you making your way through the crowd there? Where's Charlie? He was here earlier.
There he comes.
Come on, Charlie. You're not gonna get out of it that easily.
Come on, Jeff.
So, you know, we're proud of the work that all of you do every day. And we don't even know a tenth of the calls that you're on, and you're always taking heroic measures, so it seems weird just to recognize for this one particular incident, but this was way above and beyond. But I do want to emphasize that that isn't to say that the things that you do every day, all day, are not appreciated by this board and by the citizens of Hanson. But on this particular day, December 30th, 2024, we had these four amazing little heroes amongst us who came to the aid of a fellow human being with dedication and diligence and rendered life-saving CPR to a victim in medical crisis. And we just want to let you know that your heroic actions will always be remembered. So we've got little commendations and letters of recognition, but mostly we just want to tell you our heart that we have a heartfelt thanks for everything that you did on that day.
If I may.
Yeah.
Thank you. And like Madam Chair just stated, this is something that we do every day. We have a fantastic relationship with our fire department, our police department, our mutual aid, Whitman, all the towns that surround us. We're always working together. So there have been many occasions where we've all done CPR. And as just off the record, as we're doing the CPR, we're waiting to see someone in a red truck show up as fast. This is one of those perfect storms that does happen a lot in this town, where we'll have one ambulance out simultaneously, they're out on another call. We're waiting either on a callback, and then that third call comes in, so we really have to rely on mutual aid. Sometimes they're busy. That was December 30th. Directly right across from the police station, as I made my way over there, there was a 911 call that indicated there was a gentleman not breathing. Found unresponsive. Officer Vigno and Officer Frazier were the first on scene. Officer Vigno, who was our court prosecutor, he's in plain clothes. And upon my arrival, Deputy Chief Charlie Barnes was also on scene, and these men were just administering CPR. All the other crucial mechanisms to try to save his life with AED, CPR, ambubag. Why we're recognizing them is because at that moment, there was no red truck showing up. And so it just shows you on a day-to-day what these men are able to do. And then Officer Mansfield then proceeded to come in, and he was able to, as these three worked tirelessly with the deputy chief, bring this gentleman back to life and to each administer CPR and rotate and just work perfectly together. I had the luxury of standing over them watching them. There's too many chefs in the kitchen, but they need to be recognized. As we do this always, I want to emphasize that we do this a lot. This was just one of those circumstances where they needed to be recognized, because under the circumstances, there were so many resources that weren't coming, and then we were fortunate enough to have the Whitman Fire Department arrive. They were able to then supplement with the professional care that this gentleman needed, and this man today would not be alive if it wasn't for these four gentlemen. I just think that it's really, really important to recognize them. Officer Vigno is a 25-year plus veteran. Officer Frazier is a 25-year plus veteran. Officer Mansfield has brought his experience over full-time from Oak Bluff. He's been here several years, and again, regardless of the years on, their sacrifices and their support and their reasons that they are here every day is to save lives. So I just want to recognize them. Thank you all, gentlemen.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
And I just want to, again, that collaboration between towns, between departments, we're so lucky because we're all walking a high wire, and you guys are our safety net. We're still lucky to have all of you. And the mutual aid, that we have between the towns, I know we give mutual aid too, but we really appreciate you. And you kind of stole my thunder. I had a whole thing I was going to read about the incident, but it's okay, Mike. It's okay. It's fine. So we just want to thank you. We've got little commendations, but thank you all for what you did.
All right.
You can give them out first, or?
No, we'll give them out as they,
Okay, thank you very much.
When they come to me?
yeah, you can ask. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congrats. Thank you.
And your name. Thank you. And that's this one right here? Okay. Samantha, thank you so much. This is yours. Yep. Thank you. Okay?
Thanks,
Right here, and I know who he is.
Thank you.
I know who you are. Here you go.
Fraser or
Bush?
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, okay, here. Yep. Everson? Okay. Here.
So if you guys want to stick around, listen to the
That's
comments, you're more than welcome.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
They're out of order. They're not.
Do it.
No.
We have one more.
And you're Lieutenant Robert. There you go.
Thank you.
Awesome job.
Where is Mr. Kevin Dykes?
Awesome job, Whitman.
Did Kevin come tonight?
I think he's over there. He was out there.
I lied, we have two more.
He's over here.
Where's Kevin Dykes?
He's over here. He's coming.
So much talent in so little time.
Supposedly on the agricultural committee.
Oh, yeah. Where's Kevin?
He is right there. He's in the brown jacket. He's kind of stuck.
Come on, Kevin, make your way up front. You're not gonna get out of it that easy. All right, Kevin. This is an official recognition of the actions that you took during a brush fire on Elm Street on November 9th, 2024. When you heard the fire announced, you took the initiative and went directly to the Highway Department, loading the 3rd Forestry Skid Unit into one of the Highway Department trucks. This unit is a self-contained tank and pump with forestry hoses that drop into a truck. Upon arriving on the scene, you forwarded pictures to Fire Chief stating the equipment was in service if needed. On behalf of the citizens of Hanson, the Select Board extends its sincerest thanks and expresses its deepest gratitude and appreciation for ensuring the safety of Hanson and the surrounding towns. We appreciate it. Thank you.
You can come back again.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And that is not it. Where is Chief O'Brien? That's right, big guy. You're not getting out of it. All right. Come on forward, Chief O'Brien. We've got here, from the Weymouth Police Department, from the Chief of Police, Richard Fuller. Gentlemen, I am in receipt of a commendation report from Captain Brian Morse regarding your life-saving actions in Weymouth Four River Channel on August 16th, 2024. At approximately 12:40 that day, Officer Christopher D'Angelo, operating the WPD SeaTac boat, responded to a report of a boat crash in the vicinity of Grape Island. Off-duty Officer Edward O'Brien and his brother, off-duty Hanson Fire Chief Robert O'Brien, but he really ever off-duty? I think not. Who was nearby on their personal boat at the time of the crash, responded to the scene. All three first responders worked together to rescue the two severely injured victims. They provided first aid and transported them back to awaiting ambulances at Turn Harbor Marina. During the transport to Turn Harbor Marina, Officer O'Brien was able to apply a tourniquet to the male victim, who was losing a large amount of blood. Fire Chief Robert O'Brien was also on the back of the boat, applying pressure to the massive laceration on the female victim. Upon arrival at Turn Harbor, Officer D'Angelo, Officer O'Brien, and Fire Chief O'Brien assisted Weymouth Fire Department and South Shore EMS, getting both victims off the boat and onto stretchers for transport to the hospital. In his report, Captain Morse said, "It is said that police officers and firefighters are never truly off-duty. There are no greater examples of this than Officer Edward O'Brien and Fire Chief Robert O'Brien. Their actions, along with the actions of Officer D'Angelo, embody the spirit of heroism that is the hallmark of the public safety community. It is without hesitation that I recommend Officer Edward O'Brien, Officer D'Angelo, and Fire Chief Robert O'Brien be formally commended for their bravery, exemplary actions, life-saving efforts, and teamwork displayed throughout this extremely difficult incident. I completely concur with Captain Morse's recommendation that Officer Chris D'Angelo, Officer Ed O'Brien, and Fire Chief Robert O'Brien be commended for bravery, exemplary actions, life-saving efforts, and teamwork. Your actions reflect great credit upon yourself, the Weymouth Police Department, and the Hanson Fire Department."
Is that the official one?
Well, I think that's it, mic drop. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's a lot of
Is that the
heroism. And yes,
Yeah.
Chief O'Brien, I have this formal little letter for you, sorry. Okay, we'll take a brief recess, and for those that want to stick around and watch paint dry, you certainly may. All right, and welcome back to the Hanson Select Board, meeting of February 11th, 2025. Coming back after a brief recess. And, next up on our agenda is Fire Department Override Discussion. And serendipitously with us is our Fire Chief, Chief O'Brien. So Chief O'Brien, we would love to hear from you.
Thank you. So I will keep this fairly quick, because I know you're busy, but nobody likes the word override. It is never a good time to ask for staffing increases, but I'm gonna talk a little bit about what's gone on in the last 12 months, and really what's gone on even in the last 48 hours here in Hanson, as far as staffing goes. And Deputy Casey hit on it, that, you know, the particular call that Whitman Fire and the Deputy Chief and the police officer were recognized for. Both our ambulances were tied up. One was tied up in town. They can't leave. Once you're committed on call, you're there legally. And they were transporting to the hospital. The other one was already en route to the hospital. Our staffing, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, is a lieutenant or an acting shift commander if it's not a lieutenant, and 3 firefighter paramedics. So we always staff to 4. If somebody's out, we're filling it. That allows us a couple of things. One, we can run 2 ALS ambulances, but also 2, it puts 4 people on the fire ground, providing everybody's in town for that. Right now, there's, you know, things up there about off-duty recall and what we do. We do make every attempt to recall people from home. The recall system has been in place since long before I got on the departments in 1997. And we call 2 duty squads. When the first call comes in, if we go on an EMS call and the ambulance and the squad are on the EMS call, unless another call comes in, we don't recall the duty squad. Once that second call comes in, or if they get a transport with 3, or we end up tied up with all 4 on the call, they'll put in for a duty squad, and it's hit or miss whether we get people back. There is no rhyme or reason to it. Quite honestly, as most of you are aware, we have a very young department. So a lot of them have just gotten married, are getting married, starting to have families and things like that. Their significant others are professionals, so they also work. So getting people to come back on the recall system is not a guarantee. We make every effort we can with it, but it doesn't always work the way that we'd like it to. But one thing I put at the bottom, we have not done a shift staffing increase since 2002. We went to 4 firefighter paramedics on a shift in 2000. Alhoy, through town meeting that particular year, got the 4th person put on the last shift that needed it. We have added the deputies since. We have made it so that staffing is 4 at all times. And again, during storms and things like that, we will staff up if needed. Up here, this is an 8-year look back for our call volume. Last year, so for 2024, 46% of the time were multiple calls going on at the same time. It could have been multiple medicals. It could have been that the engine's out on investigation, or smells and bells call, as we'll sometimes call it, and the ambulance is out of town. We are steadily going up. When people look at the number, they're like, oh, that's not horrible. You know, you only did 2,157 calls. That is only when the lights and sirens go on. That does not include fire prevention. That does not include inspections, training, people stopping at the fire station to ask for directions, or, hey, can I get a ring cut off my finger? It doesn't include people coming in for permits. It is strictly red lights going on and the apparatus going somewhere. And right now we're tracking higher than 46% of the time for 2025, and we're only about 6 weeks into it. I call this the high life hazard. So quite honestly, Hanson has a fair amount of 55 and older in town. A lot of it, Stonebridge, 902 Main Street, Meeting House Lane was here even before that, but for some of the 55 and older communities, they started being built 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, when Al Waite was the fire chief. And now, just in its natural progression, age-wise, We're getting an older population here. As you can see, the run volume goes up with it. Signature Healthcare that was at the Shaw's Plaza, they have closed in 2024, but ironically, 171 Phillips Street that came online in 2023 has more than replaced the call volume from Signature Healthcare. And we do have quite a few group homes in town that a lot of people don't realize. So we go to some of them more often than others. That's just how it is.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Why did you break out Buttercup there?
It's Stonebridge and Buttercup together. So
Buttercup's just a little blub.
it's part of the Stonebridge
No,
community.
I know,
Yeah.
but there's other little blubs too.
Yes, there are. No, that's.
Oh, okay, I just,
So, and you gotta
because my
remember.
mother is
Yes,
there.
yep. So it's
Yeah, Buttercup,
it's
that's
that
right.
whole, you know, it's that whole community up
Right,
there.
okay.
So that's why we did it.
All right,
Because on a lot of our, I'll call it the old paperwork from
Yep.
20 years ago, it's Stonebridge and Buttercup on there
Really?
before some of the other ones came in.
okay.
Yes. So last year, 2,157 calls. We did not have any significant storms last year for 2024. In 2023, we had that December 19th big windstorm that went on where Santa broke his legs. But last year, we did not have any of the big windstorms. And I put a snapshot on as to what the staffing levels are and what the call volume is for other towns. East Bridgewater, they're fairly close to us. They run 6 on a shift. Halifax, yep, they do less than us. They run 3 on a shift. Norwell is pretty close to us. Same thing. They run 6 on a shift. I did put Carver in there, and frankly, it doesn't know how Carver runs. So Carver runs the EMS separate from the fire department. So they did about, a little over 1,800 EMS runs, a little over 300, almost 400 fire runs for the total. And during the day, on the EMS side, they'll staff 3 EMS people during the day, 2 people at night, and then during the day for the fire department, it's admin, it's the chief, it's the deputy chief and an assistant chief there, but they've got a massive call department that they pull from for it. So when you look at, the one I did put in there was Plainville, which is number 2. Call volume wise, they're fairly close to us. But when I kind of just did, and this was the internet search of Hanson's square mileage, what the median household income is of it, and kind of size of the department. That's what we came up with. There's some other ones that were left off of it, but everybody else is, for what you see up there is running roughly 5-6 people. We're looking to go to 5. Absolutely, I'd love to go to 6 and even put up a 3rd ambulance, but right now, cost prohibitive. Even going to adding one more firefighter paramedic, some people are going to say that's cost prohibitive for me to be able to do that, and I'll get into that in a minute. In 2024, some of the multiple calls that we went on, we had 2 fires, both of which had 1 call firefighter arriving in the engine, and myself showing up in my Tahoe, or the deputy showing up in his Tahoe. Tahoes are great. They are horrible when you're going on because you have nothing but your turnout gear in your SCBA. We don't have the water and things like that. We had a person injured in the woods that was actually the 4th call that required the Polaris to have to go out there. Fortunately, we got a lot of people on recall because it took, I think there was 6 of us to get them out, plus the Pembroke ambulance showed up and their shift commander because we were literally covered in mud getting this person out of the woods. We had a motor vehicle accident. It was the 3rd call. A cardiac arrest had happened probably about 30 minutes prior to it. The motor vehicle accident came in when we were en route to the motor vehicle accident. This is at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Another medical came in, mutual aid came into town for that. It was myself, the deputy, one of the on-duty lieutenants, and the call lieutenant that showed up to the MVA. And we legitimately had to cut somebody out of a car. We had 2 brush fires come in at the same time this fall. And while we're doing the 2 brush fires, a medical comes in. Cardiac arrest. So talking a little bit about the cardiac arrests, we had it in 30 days. We did 6 cardiac arrests in the month of December alone. 2 of them were back to back. One came in and the crew came back, and within 30 minutes, another one came in. We had, you heard about the one from earlier tonight, but we also had another one that the ambulance was coming back from the hospital, but they were close enough that they can respond because it does take a little bit of time to get mutual aid to come into town, just distance wise. So, we have we had a structure fire come in while they were on a medical call at night. It was around midnight-ish. They were on a medical call. Fortunately, it was what we call patient refusal. They did not want to go to the hospital. And literally as the person saying, no, I don't want to go to the hospital, the structure fire came in. So 2 people left in the squad to go to the structure fire. The ambulance responded back, grabbed an engine, a couple people come back on recall. They came to the structure fire. And then we had a med flight call. The med flight call was at the same time as a carbon monoxide call. The carbon monoxide call tied up 2 of our recall people for over an hour at the residence because they had to find where the carbon monoxide was coming from. And it was just a bizarre call because it was actually coming in through the attic. So here's what I'm looking for, is I'm looking to, as part of the override for $344,000. The way we came up, or I came up with that number, is I don't want anything hidden. This includes all the costs. Health insurance is in there. It's built on, and I will tell you, it's probably a high number in reality, but it is built on 3 family plans and 1 single plan. Because honestly, I don't know what we would get. So, I actually sat with Stacy Reed, it was probably 6 months ago on it, and she gave me, here's all the town's costs for everything. So that's where I came up with the $344,000. So then I sat with the assessor's office. So there's roughly 4,378 residential and commercial tax bills. They were able to do, they have a great program. They were able to tell me it's roughly $82.54 a year or $20.64 a quarter that I'd be looking to add a firefighter paramedic onto the shift. A couple of things with that is I would be looking to stay at 5 all the time. Currently, the overtime budget would have to be adjusted, but it's not a big adjustment on it. Eric and I have talked about it because we do have the ambulance account. We do bill out every time the ambulance goes out and we transport. We do bill out to Medicare, Medicaid, Harvard Pilgrim, all of that stuff. We bring in roughly, give or take, $800,000 a year. I will tell you that a third of the fire department's budget comes from the ambulance account. We use over $700,000 a year from that account to fund things within the fire department. Now, by adding the 5th person on the shift, that allows somebody to be at headquarters that when the first call is going on and 3 or 4 of them at the first call, that second ambulance can get out the door quicker and not rely on mutual aid. I staffed up this weekend because of the incoming snow. And I actually staffed up on Sunday night because sometimes people don't shovel out their walkways and things like that. So, taking people out of the house can get a little difficult, but also with Super Bowl Sunday. And ironically, they went on a medical at the south end of town. And while they were at the medical at the south end of town, another medical came in and the lieutenant said, yep, start A2 out of headquarters. A2 went with 1 person on it. The squad met him up there. Great. And then the lieutenant came back and we still had somebody in town to respond to the calls. And the thing is will the town be able to make money because that second ambulance will be on the road more? Yes, they will. Will it be $344,000? No, it won't. It will not. You'll probably make, and I'm going to be conservative, 25% of that back. It might be a little bit more. It goes back and forth with it. But really, we are having a staffing issue. We kid around that we think people sit at home and once they hear the siren, everybody starts calling. So I'll give you an example. Yesterday, the ambulance went out on a medical call. They clear the medical, they get back, another medical comes in. The deputy and I said, we'll go with you to the other medical call. And as soon as we get to the other medical call, we get a motor vehicle accident. So the deputy and I have to go to the motor vehicle accident now. We meet Whitman Fire at the motor vehicle accident. While we're at the motor vehicle accident, the lieutenant asked for A1 because they had cleared the hospital to start towards their location. And the reason was because we had a combative patient. So I called the ambulance, can you meet us at our location? They're like, nope, we can't do that. So we clear the motor vehicle accident and go back to the original second call so the deputy could get on the ambulance as an extra person back. That happened, let's see, we went multiple calls deep, definitely twice yesterday, maybe 3 times. Today, from about 1 o'clock until 4:30ish, I think it was. We went 5 or 6 calls deep. We had 1 ambulance transport. They had to transport to the city. We will do that with certain cases. So they had to go to the city. And while they were actually on their way back, we get another medical. We go on the medical call. I went on the medical with the crew, so there was 3 of us. As soon as I cleared that second medical, a third medical comes in. Fortunately, the ambulance was just coming off of Rockland Center at that point. They meet me at the third medical. Clear the third medical, and now I get an investigation call that actually tied me up on scene. I was there for over an hour with the wiring inspector. They had to bring their own electrician in. While I'm tied up on that, as I'm clearing that, we get hit with a medical. They go to that medical, and as the squad's clearing that medical, they get another medical. This is all in a 3 or 4 hour period of time. Now, the thing full disclosure, they might not do anything for 3 or 4 hours now. It could be quiet, but that's when training happens. That's when they've got a whole lot of paperwork to do today now because of all the calls. But it's just, it's the multiple calls that are going on right now. That is very, very concerning for me. Last weekend, I heard the call come in the middle of the night for All American. It's an assisted living facility, and it came in as water flow alarm. Well, that means the sprinkler systems are tripped, in theory. So 2 o'clock in the morning, even though they didn't strike the box for it because there was no reported fire, I go up there because that is a huge life hazard for us, and things like that. So that's what I'm hoping to do, is ask for that amount of money. Now, some things I'm looking to do is I'm looking to set up coffee meetings or meet and greets with the citizens of Hanson, probably at least a few times before May. We're actually talking about doing an open house in April. And what it is, everybody hears from me being the fire chief. Let people come and talk to the lieutenants. Let them come and talk to the other paramedics that are there. I've been there since 1997. We get some people that they're still on probation, but to explain, hey, here's what really goes on, and to see all the equipment and things like that we have. We have 3 ambulances. 2 of them run constantly. One of them actually is down because it's been running so much, and we'll have it back tomorrow afternoon. It's out having the front end done on it. We'll be doing a social media campaign, and really what it is just, here it is factual, as far as what we do, how we do it. The good thing for us is all of our numbers are actual numbers. We have to report them to the Department of Fire Services. When you see in the town meeting report that we do, we break it down. That's what gets broken down and sent to Department of Fire Services, and then they send it to National Fire Academy and National Fire Agencies and NFPA and things like that. So it's all actual data that we have. So we can pull up all kinds of stuff. People have asked me, is there a certain time of day? Interestingly enough, breakfast, lunch, and dinner seems to be the time of day. Day of the week, really, the day of the week doesn't seem to make a difference. We average the same amount of calls almost every day during the week. So Sundays are a little bit hit or miss. Time of year doesn't make a difference either. So, any questions? I know I could get long-winded.
No, it's all right. Can I ask a stupid one?
Well, I mean,
There's no stupid.
Does this affect homeowners' insurance, because we have more, our rating?
So, right now, no, it doesn't. Right now, we are at a 2. I'll be 100% honest, we will not hit a 1. City of Cambridge does it. I think the city of Brockton has done it. We would never have the manpower to do it, to be able to do that. However, if this will not affect any of our ratings or anything like that for people's homeowners insurance, but I look at us, we are an insurance policy. We're an insurance policy, and I fully understand that $20 a quarter can be very difficult for some people, no question about it, because we get the hardship paperwork and things like that if they can't do their ambulance bill. And like I've always said, we are not going to needlessly tax people or anything like that for it, but we have definitely hit that threshold of multiple calls going on, and time is muscle if it's a heart attack. It's a huge issue if you are at a fire and it's just one of you. That is a massive safety issue. I've been in fires where it's just 2 of us had showed up and it was 15 minutes before the next engine came. And that was a number of years ago. So, any other questions or anything?
no. I
As you
mean,
can tell, I'm very passionate about it, so.
No,
And I understand some citizens are gonna say, yep, absolutely, we should do it. Other people, and I get it, and they have to decide that for themselves, and that's okay. If for some reason we're told, no, we cannot do staffing, we're not gonna change how we do business. Like now, we're not gonna just all of a sudden drop in the ambulance or anything like that. We're just trying to provide better service, make it better for the citizens of Hanson, make it a little bit safer for them. It's not perfect, but that's what we're trying to do.
So, And as far as mutual aid for the surrounding towns, does this bring us up to compatibility with the surrounding towns that we?
We wouldn't have to rely on mutual aid as much, but mutual aid is always going to be there. Interestingly enough, Chief Clance and I probably talk once a week. We kid around about the Whitman Hanson Fire Department sometimes, because if we know they're going to a structure fire, our guys are out the door before the tones even drop, because we do listen to everybody around us, so we know which towns we're automatic mutual aid for and where they're going to. It's not, it will cut it down a little bit, but you're not gonna all of a sudden see that we're not calling mutual aid. We still are gonna have to call mutual aid.
But as
That's the
far as
reality
our
of the
level,
business.
like if we had less people, we wouldn't be able to provide.
Correct. Oh, yeah, no,
mutual aid.
there are,
It wouldn't be an
there are
equitable-
times that we've had to turn mutual aid down because we don't have the staffing. There are times that we've had to turn going to fires down, and they've legitimately been on the town line because we didn't have the staffing to go to a fire or to an EMS call.
Mr. Weeks, did you have a question?
That was actually gonna be one of my questions, because, I would assume that we're going and helping people as much as they're
Yes.
going out and helping us. So I'm trying to think of questions. You're always really thorough in the presentations that you have, so I don't have a lot of questions. I'm really just trying to think of what are some things that people might be thinking that we could just kind of bring up now? And one of them is that. So I don't think there's a reality in which we can just tell people to not to aid other towns.
Yeah.
Because no matter how many resources we have.
Yeah.
The community being safe is just as important as our community being safe. And if we
Yes.
need them to come to us,
Yes,
we are gonna have to help. So
yes.
no matter how many resources we pour into our town, we still need to add more staff to keep
Correct.
everybody safe.
Yes.
I guess the other thing is there any correlation between, having an aging population? Because I do think that, folks on fixed income and folks that are in, some of our senior citizens, they do fall through the cracks. And this is one of those things in which, even though monetary resources are limited, this is one of those services that they're gonna rely on the most. And if you have only 4 people and they're all out doing something, do you wanna be that 5th call?
Yeah, or that third call.
Yeah, and I just,
Third call.
and I don't wanna say to be dooming and gloomy or be catastrophic or anything, but I'm just trying to bring some like tangible, facts to this.
Yes.
Well, one of the things, to your point, Mr. Weeks, one of the things, people are like, oh, they're trying to, staff for the worst case scenario. It's like, no, that's not what this is. Like,
No.
we're looking at average usage, and we are below where we need to be in order to keep the service where we need it. That's what this is about. We're not trying to add bloat to a budget or like overstaff or anything of that sort.
Well, I'm just trying to think of even the numbers. So the numbers that you provided, and I'm assuming it's the way to go is to go off a number of calls, not population. Because
Yes,
it's the
correct.
calls
The
that
number of
necessarily-
calls, and for us, it's the amount of multiple calls going on. And
Okay.
where it's 50% of the time, almost 50% of the time.
And the
That's-
numbers that
that's
we're at 4, and a lot of those numbers that you were showing justified 6.
Yeah, a lot of the towns, and you look at like East Bridgewater, they're 200 runs more than us.
Yeah.
Less than 200 runs, they're running 6 a shift.
Is it like a standard practice for, and I know there probably isn't, because it's, every town has.
So there actually is under NFPA, and it's the number, NFPA only looks at the fire end of it. They don't look at the EMS end at all. But they have a standard as to how many firefighters you get on the fire ground in a certain period of time.
Okay,
And the
yeah.
only way that Hanson can meet that, and even for a lot of the towns around us, is those mutual aid agreements.
Okay.
To be able to do that, to stay compliant with the NFPA.
Okay, so just based on,
yes.
how many, Southborough seems like it's an outlier, but,
Yeah.
and I don't know anything about these communities, but are there any towns, because it seems like we do hover between that 4 and 6, which
Yeah.
puts 5, it makes sense logically. Other than that, I don't, you know way better than I. What are the other towns that are around 5? What, are they calls that are similar to our?
Yeah, Lakeville runs at 4, I believe, but their numbers also have, I don't wanna say it's inspections, but their numbers, our numbers are strictly the lights and sirens, 911
Yeah,
calls.
no, totally.
Lakeville is a little bit more built into that, but Norwell is a pretty good representative of Hanson. The interesting, part with Norwell is a lot of times they're only running the 1 ambulance.
Yeah,
Where we've always run 2 since before I was on the department in 97.
okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we see it. we see it just like you guys hear about it. We know people are struggling money-wise. We know that. And the thing is, it's never a good time for us to ask for staff. It isn't a good time, so that's why we're like, well, let's start now, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, this is helpful, though, because I mean, this is tangible.
Yeah.
This is something that can make
I ask
sense.
what might be a quick question
Thank
about
you.
the presentation on the
Yes.
first page? I think you said that at night it was empty, 60% of the time after 5 PM. The building is empty?
Oh, yeah, so here's the whole thing that I tell people. Basically, after 5 o'clock at night on a weeknight, or on the weekends, if they go out, even on one run, the station's empty, because we're only running 4, so everybody goes out. But then if the ambulances leave town, there is nobody in town at that
I
point.
think you were
except
interpreting
myself.
it
I
a
was
different
interpreted
way.
as you have nobody.
He thought you didn't have anybody on
Oh,
staff.
I'm sorry, no,
Yeah.
no, we
Yeah.
always have staff, they may not be there, but we
Yeah.
always do have staff.
Yeah, that's,
on,
I
yeah,
assumed
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
it was, but I.
Which actually, that's a great point, because then we can address that in here,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, because
yeah.
it looks like, oh, we're empty.
Yeah.
60%
Yeah,
of
maybe you
nights.
want to tweak the
Yeah, so
language
no,
on
we
that
can,
one.
yeah, absolutely.
Did you have any?
No, I just.
Okay, I mean, this is a compelling, argument, and, I think the numbers speak for themselves, so.
So we'll, in a short time, we'll start putting this out to social media and things like that, if the board is okay with that.
Okay,
So, and like I said, we'll do some coffee discussions and bring people in and let them tour the facility, and I mean, and the thing is, we always encourage that anyway.
Mhm.
We're there for the citizens in town, so come on down and ask questions and take a look.
Is that something we can throw on the website under whatever we're doing for outreach too?
Yep, I can, yeah, absolutely, give you a copy of it.
yep,
Thank you.
Excellent.
thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you.
All right. We have got the lovely and talented town clerk, Beth Sloan, here with us for several things. The first thing that we have her here to discuss is town clerk staffing discussion. Did you want to join us at the? Sure.
As you know, I am going to be retiring. I am not pulling papers to run for any position. So, whoever's coming in is going to be brand spanking new.
Yep.
The Mass General Law says that the town clerk, the new town clerk will not start for 7 days. So, I will be not working after May 17th. So it's up to the board if you'd like me to stay on. You have to pay for the new person and me at the same time, so we are going to have to either do a reserve fund transfer if you want me to stay, or do an article in the town meeting, a special town meeting, to do that. It's up to you. And then, of course, it's up to you. How long do you want the transition period? Do you want me to just stay another week? Would you like me to stay a little longer? It's up to your pleasure.
Well, I think for transparency, I would like a specific article in the town meeting warrant. Since we've got the luxury of being able to do that, because it's just prior to the transition. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to build in like a, if we get somebody right off the street, which is likely, because it's like, you have to be from Hanson to run for town clerk, and as far as we know, there aren't, a million Beth Sloans running around, so, it's gonna be somebody who may have helpful background, but it's not gonna be add water and stir. I mean, what is your estimation of, like with 3 weeks, 4 weeks, like maybe a week of intensive and then dropping by a little bit here and there, afterwards to just kind of.
I'm willing to definitely do a full intensive week. And then if it would be of you guys want to, 3 days a week, so many hours a day, whatever works.
I think we should try to plan on maybe like a, obviously check with Mr. Kinshirf, but maybe could we say up to a month's worth of?
A month?
Does that seem?
Is that okay with
Yeah,
your schedule? I don't want
to give a retirement date, so I can say I am no longer an employee of
Yeah.
Hanson as of this date.
Right, yeah.
So I did speak with our town accountant, Mr. Kinshirf, regarding the question. And he actually did suggest, because we already have the money approved in the reserve fund, that's probably a better way to go than to put an article in for free cash for town meeting, because it's a 50/50. If you do the line item reserve, we just need to work with, our town clerk, Ms. Sloan, on the amount, and then we can put in for the reserve, the line item transfer, through the finance committee.
Okay, and then perhaps get reimbursed at town meeting for what you've transferred?
Exactly,
Okay.
yes, yes,
So you'll get the details to us, and then we can take a
Yes.
more formal vote on it?
yes.
Okay, but does that sort of sound copacetic? Okay, all right. Of course, we want to keep you forever, but we know people have lives and they must move on. But we thank you sincerely for everything that you've done. You've been incredibly supportive and helpful. And you're like our little sanity check. As much sanity as we have at town hall. So we appreciate that.
Can I ask, how long have you been doing this?
I've been town clerk for 15 years, I was
15,
the assistant for 8.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
long
something
time.
else. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I have to say, Beth is held in very high esteem from all of the town, hall employees. And she's seen a fair number of town administrators come and go over the years. Because it is a bit like a revolving turnstile, present company, not included in that. So she has been like a stable senior member of the town hall, and she makes things look flawless behind the scenes, but if you think about all of the, the hats that she has to wear, elections, campaign finance, town meeting, dog licenses, births, deaths, it's multifaceted. So I personally thank you, and I know the board, really appreciates everything you've done. But you're not going to escape from some kind of formal thank you at some point in the future. This is just our shooting from the hip thank you. Okay, anything else on that, you guys? Okay, then next up is canine control laws. And I know you and I think Joe Kenny
And our town clerk.
Yeah, okay,
and
so
assistant
lay it
town
on
clerk
us.
that. All right, so, there was a change in legislation, regarding the canine mass general law. I don't have the exact law in front of me. However, there was a change in the language regarding the kennel licenses.
Okay,
And the way that it's read now, it's kind of confusing on whether it's 4 or more dogs or,
The Mass General
Fourth
law
law.
stated, it was kind of confusing, it was
Yeah.
how you wanted to interpret it. Our bylaws say 3 dogs or more are, 4 dogs or more are kennel. The Mass General law says basically 5 dogs are a kennel. So
Okay.
you can have 4 dogs.
Dave will be happy about
Dave will
this.
be
Remember,
happy
he was,
about that.
he
A lot
was,
of people
yeah,
would be happy
yes,
about
yeah.
that. So we want to change our bylaws
Yes.
to,
Yep.
make, be the same, comparable to the Mass General law. So we're
Totally.
not, and then there were other things, there was 3 different things that were wanted to change. And while we were at it, we decided, Joe, Kenny, and Jean, and myself, said that we would like to change the time period. Right now, we're doing fiscal.
Oh, yes, yes.
So we would like to start it in January.
Calendar.
And just
Calendar,
have a
yeah.
calendar.
Yeah.
And that way we could send it out with the census.
That makes a lot of
Instead having
sense.
Yeah.
2 mailings,
Yep.
we just throw it in with the census.
Yep.
And get everybody.
Yeah,
And to do that, we would start in, this year, of course, our licenses expire in June. So July 1st, we will, license everybody, but it will be good for a year and a half.
okay, all right.
All right, so it gives everyone a little bit of time to get used to it. At the same time, Joe and I would like to change the late fee from 25 to 50. So that, again, people have a year and a half to get their act together and get their dogs licensed. And if they don't, instead of $25, it's $50. So that's what the changes we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, because people don't realize it's more than licensing, it's really all about the rabies.
It's all about the rating.
And just making sure that you don't have that running rampant. So $50 would be a bit more painful than 25 to not comply. Okay, so we need articles in the town meeting warrant?
We have the articles,
Okay.
already prepared.
Yeah.
And also too, I believe that in the, as far as, the fines,
That's right, too, Joe, want that.
so the leash law fines, I mean, right now, under our current bylaw, our leash law fines are $15 for first offense, $25 second, 35 for a third offense, and then fourth and subsequent offenses are $50.
How often is he finding people? Because we seem to have a lot of loose dogs in Hanson, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I'm shocked at the number of dogs that people are posting that have gotten out, or they've seen dogs, or whatever. And also, at Burridge and at, Smitty's Bog, people just don't comply with the
Has
leash
that
laws.
Rottweiler still been a problem?
I don't know, I go with my pepper spray, I hope I never have to use it,
Yeah.
but it has been menacing people down at Smitty's Bog,
So I don't actually see any of the fines being issued, they don't come to me.
I haven't seen a fine, because I get them. I haven't seen a fine in, I don't know, a year and a half.
Okay, I mean, I'm fine with increasing them, but, you know, like, I had contacted Joe Kenny about that Rottweiler down at Smitty's, because people were really, you know, contacting me saying this dog's a menace and this woman's not being responsible. And Joe said, I mean, when he said it respectfully, I'm gonna just give it a thumbnail, but he was like, well, I can't kinda hang out at Smitty's Bog all day, like, waiting for this Rottweiler to do its thing. And I was like, well, I get that, but I think, you know, there might be a time frame when, you know, this dog, it did seem like it was in the morning, certain days of the week. So I just asked because I wasn't sure about the practicality of, like, are we really even charging anybody for these leash law violations? I'm fine with increasing it. I just thought I'd ask.
So the proposed increases, and again, you know, the prior amounts, they just don't get attention.
Yeah.
So our leash law fines, the proposed increases would be, the first offense will be $50, a second offense would be $100,
Mhm.
a third offense would be $150, and subsequent offenses would be up to $500. So this is, you know, the same dog with the, you know, addition for the offenses. This increases the teeth, on the bylaw, and hopefully it will get attention.
And I know Joe's the animal control officer in other towns. Is that a little more simpatico with what they're doing for?
I believe Joe said these are comparable to what other towns
Okay,
charge
all
as
right.
well.
Did anybody have any, yeah?
Is Joe the only one that enforces these, or is this like the police don't enforce them at
No,
all?
the police don't
No,
enforce it.
animal
It's
control's the only one.
So we have to.
Oh, for
it
God's
has to
sake,
reach
walk that back. We don't want people calling the police
No,
about dogs
it has
off
to reach
leash.
the point where somebody will reach out to somebody who will get in touch with Joe. So it's not the first offense that, it's the 50, it's after
Well,
they
it's the first offense that they're actually
that
Yeah,
officially
they
but-
caught
actually
at.
Yeah,
got Joe on it.
Mrs. Capardo.
Madam Chair, I have a quick question on, Beth said the, your second presentation was $25 to $50 for license. Is that,
No, that's for a late fee.
okay, is that per dog?
Yes.
Okay.
But the license cost isn't going up, it's
No,
just the
license
late
cost
fee
is not going
if you
up.
don't.
I just didn't know if it was just $50, that's it?
And probably if you're gonna be late on one dog, you're gonna be
You're
late
gonna
on
be
another.
We have so many people that don't pay now.
Oh,
They
sure.
think that the license is $35. The license is 10, the late fee's 35. They just keep it at 35 and say, oh, that's how much it is? That's what they pay every year.
That's bad. That is not good. Okay, so you just need articles, but we don't need to vote on that, or, I mean,
You will eventually.
yeah, we will, but
Place
not
them
tonight, I mean,
No,
but
we don't need to
does
vote.
anybody have any issue with it, I guess,
No,
really?
I'm glad to see that.
So the
Okay.
changes, one is from the state, and then the other three, I think, were basically from the discussion you guys had.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. Okay, and, was there something else that we needed, huh? No, I had the canine control, but for some reason, thought there was something else that we needed Miss Sloan for, but maybe not. No, I think that's it, I was thinking of the swearing in. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. that brings us to MBTA Communities Action Plan. Mr. DeFrayis, thank you for joining us. We always appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. So, as the select board's aware, about 2 weeks ago, Representative Swayze was before you discussing the MBTA, the action plan, and compliance, and what was going on legislatively. As a result of the court actions, what's happening now is there's emergency guidelines in effect for 90 days. Towns are non-compliant towns are required to file an action plan by February 13th, 2025, to be in interim compliance, with a deadline of July 14th, 2025 to be in full compliance.
So the last time he met with us, we said we were feeling as though we would do that, but we didn't actually take a formal vote for us to file an action plan. And again, that is not putting that on the town meeting warrant. That's a separate discussion.
Correct.
So since our meeting, Representative Swayze reached out and he was able to connect with the state on the 2 grants that we were awarded and then had pulled back, and now it's like carrot, stick. One of them is for $237,000 to clean up light control. Now, I want to remind everybody that light control with the grant, those of us that had suspected that there was some contamination on the property, it was proven that there was some contamination on the property. We were able to, with the grant, Brownfield's grant, determine that there's a small section of that property that does in fact have contamination. So we've got answers. That's great. The downside of that is we've got answers. And now that we have answers and we know that there's contamination, we have to take action. We can't just bury our head in the sand and decide that we're not going to do anything to clean up that property, and we own it. There's no turning to light control or Hubble or AKA whoever you want to put in there. It's ours. It's our responsibility. Now, Mr. DeFrayis had applied for a grant for $237,000, which was what the estimate was for the cleanup at light control. We were awarded that grant. And then because we were non-compliant and there was a bunch of, BS going on, then it ended up getting pulled back. So that's one grant. And what's the other grant is the Economic Development Committee had asked Mr. DeFrayis. We own a piece of property in the industrial park, and we've talked about this as a board, and we wanted to know what could be done, what is the best use of that property as far as for the town. And as you will recall, in the past, we've had contractors say, you guys aren't playing this game the right way. We buy property off of the town for a song and a dance, and then we do the permitting and we turn around and we sell it to somebody. You guys, if you just did the permitting, you'd be getting a lot more for that property. So, we were able to get, what was that?
$70,000.
$70,000. So we're looking at over $300,000 worth of grants. So Mr. Swayze, Representative Swayze reached out to the state, and because we're in this, we'll call it limbo land, between now and July, we would be considered as having interim compliance if we file an action plan. If we do not file an action plan, we will not be in interim compliance and we will lose the $300,000 worth of grants. So, what say you, Mr. DeFrayis? Anything else?
Well, I've filled out the action plan online because it's an online form. As part of that requirement, as part of that action plan, there's a requirement for a letter. And I'm just going to read the statement. So it says, it is the full intention of either the town administrator, town manager, or mayor, take necessary actions to bring any zoning intended to comply with all requirements of General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 3A, and 760 CMR 72 to a vote of municipality's legislative body in the timeframe described in this action plan, and to submit a district compliance application to EOHLC no later than July 14, 2025. I don't want us to lose the money. One concern I have is we've had some developments through the planning board. Last evening, the planning board met. One of the items on the agenda was, that I brought before the planning board, was if they were willing or interested in recommending the zoning amendment and the, for the MBTA zoning and the overlay district. The planning board made no motion, so they will not be bringing that proposal before the select board. There are multiple entities that could propose a zoning bylaw, planning board being one of them, the select board, zoning board, 10 citizens, because it would be Maytown meeting, the regional planning agency. Any of those other entities could, if they bring that before the select board, then the select board would have to hand it to the planning board for a public hearing. That's part of the process. That's part of the legislature. That has to be done no matter what. So the planning board will not be moving forward with MBTA zoning. My concern, and this came to me this afternoon, is the concerns, if we're putting forward this statement and we're getting money, I don't want us to run afoul of the law. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't just have asked a question of town council. You know, if we put this in and we're not going to comply, are we in essence defrauding the state by taking that?
Yeah. Your deadline is the 13th though, right?
Correct. And that's the only concern I have. I'd hate for us to lose that money because I think that money is very important, especially for the Hogsap study.
Agree. And if we don't get that money, we will be putting a warrant on the town meeting. We'll be putting an article in the town meeting warrant for $237,000 to clean up Hawks Ave, which will be galling to me.
So that's the only concern I have of the legality. I'd hate to see us do something that we get in trouble for, because are we knowingly not going to comply? And that seems to be, I think, the direction maybe that we're heading towards.
I don't know if we're knowingly not, we haven't discussed it.
Right. I mean, like I said, there's other entities that can propose those bylaws.
Yeah.
And they would have to come before the select board to do so. I can just say that the planning board will not be one of them.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, I had a meeting with someone this weekend. I don't know if she's reached out to you or not. And her question was, how far apart are we if we were to do our own zoning decisions? How far apart would we be from the MBTA desires? Like, is your stuff that you've worked on compatible with the MBTA stuff? You know what I mean?
Are you saying 40R stuff? What is?
No.
If I understand the question, it's, if we were to comply today and submitted our plan to the state.
I'm not saying complying with the MBTA.
Right.
I'm saying coming up with a plan that might, how close are we to, you know that I don't want to comply with the MBTA.
Right.
You know that. But we have plans.
Using their guides.
Yeah.
Okay. As of, so about 4 days, the week before town meeting last year, May 2024, I had submitted what's known as a pre-adoption review. And what they did was they took a look at our zone, they took a look at the proposed zoning bylaw, and they look at their model and see, are we complying with their model? Is this going to be yep, you're in the ballpark, you make some adjustments, so if you did go full compliance, there's really nothing, it's going to come in, we're going to be like, yep, you're good. We had about 4 items on the list that we had to address, which we did address, we did correct and address, and then we went to town meeting, and that's where it stopped.
Right, and, yeah, I understand that, but, what are you, I'm not sure. Well, like I said, I don't wanna complain
I
to the
know
MBTA.
this is killing you, but I'm
killing
trying,
me.
but I'm trying
So,
to.
maybe I'm not fully comprehending the.
No, and then maybe, I think we need to have the meeting with the lady, and that'll happen, but
So can I ask something really quick?
well, no, you had a little plan that I really liked the look of. That little, I think you mentioned 40Y and all that stuff, would that bring us into compliance?
That's totally separate.
It's totally separate.
No, but
wouldn't
it
help.
is separate, but she's talking about if we had a plan, if we had an overlay district where we were allowing multifamily housing, where we were encouraging, let's
Where
not
we
call it
said it was
MBTA
going to be.
community.
So an alternative to MBTA, but
Yes.
similar in style.
Correct,
Right, exactly.
yes.
Where we say where the district is gonna be, whatever.
The one we're looking at now is a starter home district,
Yes,
which is for single-family homes.
right, that doesn't make them happy?
No, because they,
It makes them happy because it's housing,
Yeah.
if we do it, but it doesn't make them happy as far as that, the MBTA. As far as if you look at 40R, where you're doing a mixed use, that's, let's say, similar to the MBTA,
Right,
but I'm not sure if that would make them happy.
Right.
I mean, I think we know what would make them happy.
oh, I know what would make them
no,
happy,
but I
turn it
see,
into
I
Weymouth.
see what you're saying, like, let's, like, sort of put MBTA aside and
Yeah.
talk about just
What we want.
what we want, not
Right.
what we're being required to do, but what we want. Where would we put an area where we want multifamily housing? What would that look like? We're not calling it MBTA, we're not even gonna have anything to, we're not gonna connect the dots with MBTA. I think that's kind of an interesting, concept.
I don't like any of it, but what are you gonna do? I mean, whether we like it or not, things are gonna develop. I
Well-
just want us to be in charge of the development. I do not want
Yeah.
anybody from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts telling us what to do. Yes,
Joe Campbell.
sorry, Joe.
Madam Chair, should I jump?
Oh, no, please.
I'd like to hang out for My name's Joe Campbell. I'm the chair of the planning board here in town. I think, Ms. Rand, if I can simplify what your ask is, I think that what you may be asking is, could the town of Hanson do something in and of itself on its own and still be in compliance with what the ask is from the
That's-
state?
Yes,
And the easiest and best way to say that is that our town planner constantly thinks of the betterment of the town solely
Right.
for that one single purpose. And Mr. DeFrace has done a wonderful job at coming up with multiple projects, things that the town can have. The difference here is that in his tenure, halfway through his tenure here, the state came in and said, but we also want you to do this, not only to our town, but every town that's affected by MBTA. So during the asks and the kind of interim stage of going through the rigmarole of trying to understand all this, we had plenty of asks on the planning board side, because we know the difficulties of where our MBTA is. Could it be stretched a little bit elongated down Main Street? Could it be in a completely different area? And it came back every time. It has to be within these guidelines, half a mile radius from the MBTA. So Tony did everything possible, Mr. Fraser did everything possible to make sure that we were in compliance with that. Aside from that, us saying to the state, it seems like we're going to do this, but in another area, that's not their interest. They're trying to solve a problem of, I would assume, rideability and costs for the MBTA, and they're using this as a way to do that. This current administration inherited this from the former administration, so this has been kicking around. It just had a few different changes from the state side of things. But as far as what you're asking about, could we comply with other zoning changes or other projects here in the town of Hanson or other zoning in the town of Hanson that would be beneficial to town for 40B or for multi-housing? And Mr. DeFrace has done a wonderful job trying to get that off the ground. This has extremely railroaded a lot of our town planners' time, as well as I'm sure council, the town administrative assistant works in the planning office, to have to do this kind of work because the state says so. So that's an extreme thing that all of our citizens should know.
So, thanks, that's super helpful, Mr. Campbell.
If it's us offering them an alternative and saying, hey, here's our alternative plan, I think we know what the answer would be, but like they say, it doesn't hurt to ask.
I was gonna say, swing and a miss, maybe, or
Yeah,
maybe,
doesn't hurt to ask,
maybe it
but I
works.
think, but coming back to the action plan.
Yeah.
It becomes a case of, we have till the 13th to submit it,
Which is a whole 2 days
so
away.
all 2 days.
right, so,
And I would just feel more comfortable if we just ask that question, because.
that's fine. So, could we take a vote conditioned upon you checking with legal counsel, on whether they feel comfortable with that language? You know, intentions and actually taking actions and who takes it, there's a lot of moving parts there, I think. But I do want to mention, that if we don't end up filing an action plan, then we know we're going to lose the 237, and we're going to need to put that in the town meeting warrant in addition to the $250,000 for legal fees that we're going to need to put in there for defending ourselves against the state. Just,
I will definitely reach out to town council because, as you know, that statement says, town administrator, town manager. So my name, it goes on that on behalf of the board. So I definitely we'll check with town council.
well, let's take a vote and see if that's where people are headed.
Joe never got
Yeah.
a chance to speak.
Right.
Yeah, I just got a quick question on this, because so we have 2 days to do this action plan, and that is the vote of this board, but the
Correct.
deadline comes in with the need of a crystal ball. So I challenge the whole idea that it's fraudulent.
That's how I
knowingly
feel.
fraudulent
Yep.
in the first place, so I just want to move away from that language. I get where it's coming from, but at the same time, it's not knowingly entering into a fraudulent plan when you don't know what future boards or future town meetings are going to say. The deadline is after town meeting, the deadline is after a major election in which
Yep.
you might be a no, but and I hope you stay, but
Yep.
if you don't, a yes could be here, which could change the entire trajectory of whatever happens, assuming that other people voted a certain way. We
Well,
have literally no
I
idea.
make that
That's
statement-
actually a great
I mean,
point.
I make that statement out of caution.
No, I get what,
Nothing else.
I get where you're coming from, but in terms of, I'm not thinking about anything other than the next 2 days. The first deadline is, what is the will of this board? And we have no idea what a future board is going to say, so it's irrelevant to me whether or not we are thinking about what a future board is going to do.
I agree.
So I would just, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is only because if you are gonna talk to a lawyer about all of this, I'm curious about that angle, because if I was on a board if I was running for an important seat on the planning board here, or trying to stack town meeting come May, I would have in the back of my mind that I'm running to make sure that whatever my platform is gets through. And it might be still no MBTA stuff, or it could very well be, I want all the MBTA stuff. And we have no idea what July is gonna bring.
There's so many moving parts.
No, there is, and all of this is based off of our personal, for me, the idea is there's money on the table. We have the ability to have another 3-month runway.
Yep.
We have 2 days to make that decision, and all the stuff that we're catastrophizing, although valid, is irrelevant because the next deadline is after major elections and a town meeting.
Correct.
So I just think that the context when you talk to that lawyer goes through that lens, if it makes sense.
Absolutely.
But that's not gonna sway my vote. I'm a yes that we go on
And
this
I
because
also
we have
think the
2 days
devil's
for
in the
this.
details on the way you asked that question, too.
I'll propose it
Yeah,
So-
in that way.
I want to.
So you're making that motion?
I'll make a motion that we go with the action plan. And again, this has nothing to do with strategy. It's literally what we have in front of us
Yep.
right now.
Yep,
Right, I
okay,
mean, it's $307,000 total.
correct.
Yeah.
That we, and we were, Representative Sweezy said, we get the action plan and they'll execute the contracts. And, once they execute the contracts, if the state backs out, it's a breach of contract, so now we can
I
sue
agree,
them.
I agree with that.
And my understanding is the other towns he's dealing with are similarly positioned and they're all
Yeah.
executing action plans.
I'm all for executing the action plan. I just wanted to bring that to you as.
No, I know, you're
It's just a
yep,
thought of caution.
yep.
I don't want to see us get into trouble.
No, you're asking the right questions.
Yep.
For me, it's just, I just want to realign the conversation around this, and I do want to say, I am very much against the way that all the MBTA stuff is rolled out. I hate the idea that we're being held hostage. I pay into taxes, I pay more than my fair share of taxes, and the fact that I can't get my own tax money back to support my own town is absurd to me, and is the definition of insanity. But all that being said, we have a decision to make in 2 days, and I think this is the way to
So
go.
I've got a motion. Did you have a question?
I have I agree with everything Joe says, but I'm the opposite vote. I mean, I
Okay.
cannot in good conscience.
Do I have a
We're not
second?
talking about that, but I can't in good conscience.
Madam Chair, if I may too, I would like to introduce that our new building commissioner has also joined and does have, experience with MBTA as well. So I just wanted to know that he is in.
But I don't think for the purposes of this
Oh, I'm
vote,
sorry.
it's
Sorry.
really, but thank you. We're glad to have you.
If I just throw my 2 cents, I'd like to see us file the action plan just for the sake of getting the money.
Yep.
Because if we get the money, it's $237,000 that the taxpayers don't have to come up with to pay.
I hear that. No, I
To pay
just
for the
want,
cleanup of
if
fires.
they
I agree
execute
with
the
that.
contract, they can't take it back?
I don't think they
Slow
can.
walk the execution of the
I mean,
contract?
what we've noticed in this administration is that the way they've been rolling up, they can just do whatever they want. So at the end of the
I
day,
know.
it really just comes down to what decision we're gonna make that's in the best interest of the town right now.
Which is, for me, is trying to save taxpayers paying
I agree.
$237,000.
That's how I feel.
That
And they're.
we're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, philosophically, I agree with you 100%.
Yep.
I truly do. But I think for the
No,
stuff that we have in
if
front.
they- If we got the modular building for the senior center, that happened, right? It hasn't gone in yet, but it happened. By getting in under the wire, so, all right, I'll second it to get it under this wire, but when it comes to the July thing,
We're not even talking about that. We're not even posted to talk about
Not
it.
saying a
We're-
word.
Yep, we're just talking about the action
And there's
plan.
still a lot of moving parts between now and July.
All right.
yes.
So we've got a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and all opposed? Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you
for
guys
that
for your advocacy and your hard work, because I know you're in a no-win situation, so really, thank you.
The exact message is
Yes.
difficult.
Yeah.
It's a no
Look,
situation.
if there's $300,000 on the table and there's any way for us to get it, I'm all about it.
Yeah,
So-
Madam Chair, I was wondering if I could take the opportunity to repeat what I said at last night's planning board to the constituents in the town. Please don't rely on the planning board, the zoning board, or the select board only to fight this fight. Your voice matters when you contact your legislation.
They're taking public comments.
They absolutely have to be vocal, because when
Yeah.
our representatives have 10 people behind them, it means nothing. When they've got 5,000 people behind them, it means a lot. So to have to potentially go back to town meeting, I got eviscerated at the last time, but to have to go back and do that, I absolutely don't mind. And the planning board, I think I can speak collectively, puts forward the information that we've received from the constituents. But we need the town citizens to back us.
Is the
We
public
absolutely need to back us.
comment, information available anywhere?
Squeezy,
URL is-
Squeezy, yeah, there's a little URL that you can.
Okay, it's on
Yeah.
our website?
Yep.
Okay.
And one of the questions, and I was saying this at last night's planning board meeting, one of the questions that came up to us, no, sorry, different topic, completely different topic. I won't come to that.
No, but the thing about it is, a lot of people have been, like, putting pressure on us. We're not the state.
That's correct.
We cannot change what the state has legislated for the MBTA. If you want to change it, you need to comment, and you need to contact your legislators and get on their asses about it. We're just trying to do what our job is, which is to comply with whatever applicable laws there are out there.
I would say also that I am very proud of the board in doing, in the planning board's on the exact same thing. We represent everybody, all of our constituency, and I think we've done a really, really good job as a unified front to represent the will of the town of Hanson and
Yeah.
trying to do what we can.
Yeah.
So there's only so much we can do though.
Yeah.
To your point, once we've exhausted everything that we can possibly do, then it goes out to the citizens, and they have to find a way to rally and grassroots it.
We need the support. We absolutely need the support at all levels, whether it's with the Regional Planning Council, whether it's with the legislation, anywhere that any of the citizens of Hanson can be vocal about this and not just talk at a coffee
Not
shop.
just yammer on
Right,
Facebook
right. Not
about
just
it.
talk on social media. You have to contact the legislation
Yeah.
because they need your support as well.
Well said, Mr.
Thanks.
Campbell. Thank you, gentlemen, always a pleasure. We appreciate the job you're doing.
Sorry for
Keep up
coming
the
in
great
last.
work. All right, thank you so
Thank you
much,
for coming in.
guys.
Tony thought he was gonna have a tough meeting.
With us, we're so friendly.
I'm joking.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that brings us to, Mr. Jasmine,
Highway.
Highway. Join us at our Inquisition table, please. Welcome. As we mentioned to you before, excellent job on the roads. We knew when we were in Hanson, when we were in Hanson.
Appreciate that. These guys have had some long weekends the last couple.
I think we'll make I will entertain a motion to appoint Richard Jasmine to the McQuon Property Reuse Committee. I'm taking things out of order, but.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, great. And then that brings us to approve potentially, deficit spend in snow and ice budget. Mr. Jasmine.
Yes, so I don't think this is a topic you're not familiar with. There is a potential to deficit spend. 300 sounds like a lot, but it's not when it comes to snow and ice. Just a 4-hour call into treat ice. Looking at a $5,000 to $8,000 phone call.
Yep.
Snow contractors are considerably higher to do that. We've had to call in our plows 3 times this year, 2 more than last year, I believe. If I looked at the records correctly, we currently have, I don't have an exact number, there's another warrant in for this week, but we're less than $100,000 in that account. So we are rapidly approaching that. If we have to plow even one more time, we're
So
gonna be
you're
very
saying one
close.
more storm's gonna kind of put us over the edge if it's.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Salt has increased exponentially. Without getting into too many specifics, a trailer of salt's like $1,300, and we go through quite some material. to
The
keep all
trailer
of
in
those.
the truck, the sanding truck?
The 18 wheelers deliver salt
Oh, the
to
okay,
us.
that would be,
Yeah,
my
about-
husband delivers.
Okay, yeah.
I know,
So it gets pricey,
Right.
and I hate to, bring it up now, but we are.
No, it's good to, we've had years when, I mean, it ebbs and flows, it all depends, but, so he can just do a line transfer, right, with the,
So basically, as the town administrator, under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 31D, I generate a memo that is delivered to the select board, town accountant, highway director, and our town clerk, that basically allows for the deficit spending under snow and ice, under the
Okay.
general law. So I can get that memo, I can get that tomorrow morning.
Is there a certain like a certain amount that you're anticipating? Like, do we just say,
We just say deficit because we
Deficit
can't
spending for the
figure
rest of
out
the
how
year.
much,
Okay.
yeah, depending on
have
how
to
many
fund it.
storms we may
We
get.
have to fund it, I know
Yeah.
that.
and how much have we spent so far this year?
Again, we have warrants out, we had a 6.7 inch storm, which warranted snow contractors to come in this weekend, pretty sizable, amount that we had to pay. As of last weekend, we had about $147,000 in that account. Again, it's a $45,000 call when we call those.
And you're
plows in.
talking men or people driving the trucks as well as the sand and salt? or
Yes,
the
so that's
whatever it is you
full
put down.
41 pieces of equipment out moving snow off the roads. Yeah, we had to do that this weekend, of course.
do you need a vote from the board?
I do not actually.
Okay, I just wanted to, I didn't think you did, but I just wanted to make sure. Okay, next up is approval to enter a state-funded program to make intersection at Liberty Street, West Washington Street, and Home Street an all-way stop.
So, barring funding. We were contacted by Mass DOT. The stop, there's a two-way stop at Holmes, West Washington, and County Road.
Yeah, it's a nightmare there.
Yeah,
Yes.
it says
Um,
Liberty Street, but it's County Road.
County Road, yeah, I think I might have said the wrong.
All right,
street.
County Road, yeah.
I thought, I was confused.
Sorry.
I was
yes.
too, I was trying to figure out where the hell
Yeah.
that intersection was.
That's, me still learning the roads.
You should have said blinking yellow light, we'd all know where that was.
Yeah. We've been contacted, we haven't said we're interested yet. We are gonna have to change the landscape. It's gonna become a four-way stop. It's to provide safety for the residents. I have an accident analysis report from the Hanson Police Department that we've provided Mass DOT. The program will essentially have Mass DOT do all the engineering and most of the funding to turn this intersection into a four-way stop.
How much are we looking at?
The only thing we are responsible for is the line striping of the stop bars.
Yep.
And we would, of course, because it's a flashing light, amber light, have to to a four-way flashing red.
It'll be the same light that's there
Right,
now,
it
but
would be the same
red instead
light,
of amber.
yes, we just change a light bulb essentially, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
red. Everything else, the state is willing to pick up if that intersection is accepted. I'd like to respond saying that we're.
Now, we have had problems in the past with the state, where, I don't know how to diplomatically put this, so, and I'm not very diplomatic, so this is gonna be a challenge.
Yeah.
Where perhaps the contractors that they hired to do the state work weren't particularly diligent in their execution of that work.
Right.
So I'm hoping as our director,
Yes.
that you would ensure, the oversight that that intersection's gonna look better than it does and not worse than it does when we're done.
That could bring me to my next point where, we will be putting in, they bring us the signage, we are responsible to put it in as well.
Okay,
So we wouldn't have to worry about contractors coming and kind of screwing everything up.
okay, all right, great. Did you have a question, Ed?
Yes, as far as you said, we're doing the lines and we're changing the light bulbs, and then the signage. What else is there other than those three things involved in the project? I mean,
So there's engineering, obviously, if you're gonna add a stop sign to somewhere that doesn't have a stop sign, speed limits have to be looked at. You're gonna have to slow down your speed, which means new speed limit signs are gonna have to go 100 yards back, or, the stop ahead, 100 yards back.
But we're
It'll
responsible
reduce
for
the-
hanging the signage, but they'll provide it.
They are gonna provide everything, all the actual hardware and signs they provide, it'll come in a nice little pallet for us. And our guys are more than capable of putting those signs in, kind of reducing the risk of
And would you
destroying
be
our.
squeezing the roads down to make them not as wide, you know
it's
how they
unwieldy
control
there,
it?
it's a little-
Yeah, so this is not to reduce the footprint of the roadway. This is strictly just putting a stop sign up.
Literally
and
just putting up
a
stop
white
signs. Okay,
stop
so they're not
bar
gonna be
with
altering
the big
that.
STOP on there. Yeah, we're not altering the landscape at all.
And you're not doing like a left turn?
No, it would just be.
Oh, that encourages.
Yeah, it'd just be a larger, what you would,
Yeah.
residential four-way stop.
I mean, it just is a
except on
wide
grander
road.
scale,
It
right?
is wide.
It is a wide road.
Yeah.
so
Yes.
they gotta-
That's what I was-
Hopefully they can line it, stripe it, you know,
Yeah, it'll go right from yellow center to fog line. Yeah.
All right, so what I'm hearing is you need a motion from us?
Just
and,
to-
approval
yeah.
to go?
Yes.
So I will
To move
entertain a
forward.
motion to approve, Mr. Jasmine entering into a state-funded program to make the intersection at County, West Washington Street and Holmes Street an all-way stop.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, amazing, thanks for bringing that to us. And then, next up is approval to start looking into possible avenues to sell/auction the large infrared machine.
Yes, so I don't, we haven't used this infrared machine in 2 years. It was purchased January 2023. It sits brand new with the price tag on it still, never been used, taken on the road.
What
What's
exactly
the-
for the uninitiated does this
For
do? Yeah,
pothole repair, right?
Correct.
So it just isn't used?
The problem with this machine is it's so large, it's almost
Unwieldy.
useless in a town.
So
This
is it
is like-
perhaps that we purchased something that really wasn't useful
I
to
remember
us?
that too, yeah.
Essentially,
Fine,
yes,
you could-
in my
okay,
opinion,
all right.
they makes 2x2 infrared machines.
So
that
how
go
much
on the
money are
back.
we talking we could get from this?
That's what I'm hoping to look into.
Like if you
we
had
bought
to
it for
spitball, we
50.
talking 150,000,
Oh, no. So we
50,000?
bought this for $50,000.
Okay, all right, okay,
It's nothing crazy, but
okay.
if I could look at getting some money for it instead of having it literally rot in our yard, I
Yeah.
think it would be ideal. We've originally started kicking the idea about maybe auctioning it, but if I could find someone that's interested, I think we're looking at a little bit more funds return from that. I don't want to see the town's money go to waste. So if
Yep.
the more I can get for it, the more it's going to help us.
We're all about it, that's great, thank you, Mr. Jasmine. So I will entertain a motion to, allow Mr. Jasmine to, what do you think? Oh,
I have a question. So from the planning perspective, if you don't mind, through the chair to the highway, are we gonna replace it with another information?
Smaller, like you said, the 2x2 or?
So we could, they have-
I'm familiar as to why we purchased it. It just seems like it's never had the need.
Right.
I think that one of the reasons why the purchase went through was the discussion about all the private ways to public roads. And one of the best things that we can do to be able to survey the existing road is by using, that's what the purpose is, to use the infrared, to be able to see what the compaction is and the substrate that's below and the top of the road itself, the finish coat, which would give the town a better idea as to the condition of what we're going to accept. So I would hope we would be able to replace it as opposed to just getting rid of it and not have that.
Yeah.
What was for that?
For us, a smaller one would suffice. This is something you see on highways. We don't even have the manpower to possibly run this thing. It's so large for such a small town, and I understand that private roads that become public are an issue with, the skim coat that they usually put on the top here. But essentially, all this is heating up the top of the road to kind of level out damaged locations where, in my opinion, what's gonna work if we have a trench that's sinking in the middle of the road, we're not equipped to run this, we're not trained. The easiest thing to do would be to saw cut it, pull out that giant patch. And, and actually, fix it, as opposed to putting the Band-Aid
We
on
have
the top.
recommendations in highway that if somebody was to do a core, you'd be able to give a recommendation about whether a road is sufficient to accept or at least
For-
it's a 2-inch binder or.
Yeah, for cores, absolutely. I think this would, again, we were led to believe this was for superficial, essentially, to make the road smooth. And this is just, and this is just way too small.
Well, I distinctly remember the town meeting where it was purchased, and it was purchased to aid in pothole repair. That's what they said.
Yep.
It was to fix potholes.
Right, and
It was supposed to be
You
the
know-
best thing since sliced bread to fix.
Well, it
potholes.
might be, but it might be.
Right.
yeah.
You're saying it's too big for,
It's just too big.
large, it's the size of a lane.
yeah.
You're talking about your general 12-inch at most pothole and you're wheeling this 6x8 monster out there.
Mhm.
You're gonna heat up more road than I think you actually need to.
Yeah.
You're better off just saw cutting a 12x12 square, pulling it out and then,
Yeah, well, I think based off that, I would go off the recommendation of them, because I remember on the capital improvement committee, they went through us as well, so.
Okay,
yeah.
so you're making that motion?
So moved.
And I'll second it.
Okay, did you have another question, Mr.
I just wonder, are we thinking of replacing it with something that can do a pothole or it might maybe not infrared?
Something to see if the need arises, but I would also suggest with the fiduciary situation that we're in, that if the potential is that we need to survey a road, could you lease or rent one?
yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
And we don't need.
So I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
I,
Okay, great. Great, thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
We are just covering a plethora of things this evening. Next up is accept the following gifts received in December. $50 gift to the library, $30 to Veterans Fund, $75 to the Police Department Comfort Dog Program. And a donation to Council on Aging, Leah's Place, $100 from Catherine Carlo. I will entertain a motion
So
to
moved.
accept.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, and then we have appoint Michael Christofouli, and if I just killed your name, I really apologize, as building commissioner, term to end. And why have we got it ending in March 31st of 2025?
So the state has a mass general law that we have to report who the town's building commissioner is to the state. But on the state form, their time frame is March 31 through April 1. So it's just it's a formality for the state. So what will happen is we appoint him now from today to March 31. We notify the state, and then prior to that, March 31, it'll come up again for the board to reappoint him from April 1 to March 31.
So we
And this is
can't
just-
appoint him for the duration with you just saying that he's been appointed for that?
Right, the
Okay.
state form is very particular, and actually, we transfer it to the town clerk, who then has to report it to the state. So this is just
And
a
then we're gonna-
formality that the
We're
state
gonna
requires.
redo it on.
We'll come back.
So a meeting prior to March
Prior.
31, we do it again for the
I will
next year.
entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? I will entertain a motion to, what?
I said welcome.
Oh, okay. You're going off script on me, Mr. Hill.
I'm sorry.
All right, appoint Doreen Kennedy to the Cultural Council, term ending June 30th, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and has anybody met Doreen?
We all
Oh,
did.
are you Doreen? Oh, okay, great.
Thank you.
And did you meet with her?
I did.
Okay.
She was recommended by Peggy Mansfield.
Oh, okay,
To
great.
come in and join,
Yep.
and we had a very nice conversation, and she will be an asset to the Cultural Council.
All right, sounds like an awesome committee to join. It's like all good stuff. You've got money and you're doing fun stuff with it. And your budget doesn't get cuts because it's from the state. You guys get the Mass Cultural. Yeah. It sounds magical. I love it. All right, so, did I have a motion?
You had a motion and
Did I have a second? All in favor? Okay,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you so much. We have many other committee openings. Keep that in mind. Keep it in mind.
This is just the first.
And then accept Sheila Moore's resignation from Camp Kawani Commission and accept Caroline Mills' resignation from Camp Kawani Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? And now, Ms. Green, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Dissolve Private Road Oversight Committee and dissolve Street Safety and Development Committee. Do you have a little background on that?
I have just a little bit of background, so from what I understand, these two committees at one time did merge to become one committee. But the committee has not met, in a very long time. Lynn did reach out to Chief Mix, who did recommend that we dissolve the committee because there hasn't been any, meetings or any activity on the committee.
Well, let's play this out.
We did talk about this in September, and you said for us to wait until Mr. Jasmine was hired and see how he felt about it. So I sent the information on to him. He met with the chief, and they talked it over, and he came back to me. Mr. Jasmine came back to me and said that he doesn't see the need for these committees.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. So in the absence of these two committees, let's play it out. Who is going to oversee private road issues?
Doesn't that go with?
That would be the highway director.
Right.
That would fall under his job duties, because he oversees all roads in Hanson, whether they're private or public.
Okay. I mean, with some parameters there's some guardrails.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
of course, yes.
And then
same
Street
with the
safety and
street
development, I guess.
So as he just mentioned today, he looks at funding from the state to make some intersections and roadways safer. So that would also fall under his purview, as far as the Street Safety and Development Committee, in development. He may need to reach out, obviously, to police and fire to get their input, if something were to come up, but that mainly does fall under the highway director purview.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? All right, I will entertain a motion to dissolve the Private Road Oversight Committee and the Street Safety and
So
Development
moved.
Committee.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, great. That brings us to, May annual town meeting. Ms. Green.
Okay, so we moving right along with development of the warrant. We are receiving articles. I believe Lynn is receiving the articles on a daily basis, in Word format, so we can easily integrate them into the warrant. On some of the items that we're still waiting on, I understand that the school, committee will be, discussing the budget tomorrow at their meeting. So as soon as we find out that information, we will be able to work more in the capital information. So, we're right on schedule with where we need to be as far as both warrants.
Okay, I am in full panic mode about the lack of our capital improvement committee. I'm personally having little heart palpitations about it.
So I did talk with our town accountant tonight. We talked about the amount that he's comfortable with for capital improvement, that he did put out the amount of $500,000, which would also include the school capital. So we're waiting on, we haven't received anything from the schools yet on any of their capital. I am gonna work on the matrix based on what we had last year.
Well, we've got members, like, we've got, actually, the three members are right here, Corinne, Joe, and Ed.
And I can work with the committee to, have them look at the matrix and update it as we need, so at least we can get something into the town meeting.
I think what's missing is Frank has always been the one who sort of had like the process of, like the matrix and then reaching out. So if you could at least do the matrix, I don't know, what would be helpful to you guys? I'm trying to.
Whatever you guys want to do, doesn't matter to me.
A email letter to all the departments and requesting to fill out certain pages. And then we have a meeting, department heads come.
So,
But like last year, I was just taking the minutes.
Okay, but so if Lisa gets the matrix together and sends out the email, once you guys tell her when your meeting is, would that be helpful? I'm trying to figure out how can we support this happening?
so Frank has a lot of information. He sent the email and he has done a lot of the spreadsheet and all the rest. I'm wondering if there should be, even if it's a transfer from Frank to Lisa, or how that would.
Yeah, I mean, we could take it offline.
Yeah.
Long story short is that all the department heads need to fill out the paperwork to
Yeah.
make recommendations to justify why their money should be spent. If we're getting $500,000, it's money, that's great. But anything with $35,000, I think it's a 5-year life expectancy or 10-year life expectancy, something like that. Department heads just need to fill out the forms. They should go before the committee, assuming the
Yeah.
committee meets, to justify it. Otherwise, they can just go through the forms, but then the matrix just needs to be updated. The committee needs to take a vote on the priorities that they would recommend. Just as a reminder, though, the capital improvement committee is in charge of the matrix that would be presented to the town, but it's in essence, it's just an advisory committee. So really,
Yeah.
what it's doing is doing its due diligence to inform the town administrator about what they think the capital improvement money should be spent on. So really, just the committee needs to meet, department heads need to fill out the forms, submit it, and then the matrix has to get updated. And that's
I
it.
think it's a good idea, maybe reach out to Frank and see if he can give you the layup on that.
Yeah, I'll look through past emails to see if I have a copy of the form. I don't know if,
It's a few pages, but actually, the way we had redone it,
I'll look at my
there was
past
only one
emails.
page to fill out if there was a new item.
Yeah. There's a series of one-pagers that have to happen.
All right.
So, but we can take it offline.
Yeah,
and talk about it.
exactly. We'll work on that. And what was your deadline for everybody to get you their articles? Is it the 13th or did I make that up? Okay. And how are we doing?
For the special, we only have a couple of articles, but for the annual, I think we're close to 40 right now.
Okay. And just remind people that if they don't have all the details, not that.
I do have placeholders.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, we can do placeholders, because I know there's a lot of moving parts for people to get, the numbers, if they haven't gotten estimates, if it's work that needs to be done or whatever. So, I'd rather have the placeholder, so at least we have an idea of what's out there, even if we don't have all of the details. Okay, well, thank you in advance for the hell that will ensue, as a result of that deadline. Any other questions about Maytown meeting? Okay, one-day liquor license, Robin Sullivan, wedding on 10/10/25. I'll entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any deep burning desire to give updates on any committee?
Can I ask a
Thanks.
question?
Well, yeah,
We have two things here. We have the South Shore Regional School District Committee announcement for our meeting tomorrow night. And then we also have this, a notice about $100 collected for entertainment license. Was this supposed to be talked about tonight?
No.
Okay. That's all.
okay.
I just wanted to clarify the packet.
All right. Economic Development Committee, at the risk of being boring, yes, I am wildly excited about, our meeting on, February 27th at Camp Kawani from 5:30 to 8 o'clock. We will be having Ernie Foster from, Webster Printing. He is gonna be our keynote speaker. He will be talking to us about why he likes to have his business in Hanson, why he's expanded his business in Hanson, and why he plans on staying in Hanson. We will also have Bill McDonough from Scribende, which is a communications firm, and they will be talking about the judicious use of social media for your business. We will also have folks from Barn Owl Consultants, which is an HR consulting firm, and they'll be talking about the top 5 HR concerns that people have. Representative Sweezy will be coming to talk to us about the State of the Union as it may be. We'll have breakout sessions on all of those things. We will have town officials there, in case folks have got questions, businesses have got questions about permitting or anything of that sort. Small Business Administration is going to be there, courtesy of Barbara Arena, who hooked us up with them. Northeastern Savings is gonna be there, Granite State Development. So we've got a host of really great resources. And you don't have to be an existing business owner, you could be an aspiring business owner. You're thinking about opening a business in Hanson, join us. It's free to attend. We just ask for people to RSVP. And that's my spiel on that. Anything going on High Street Park?
I missed the last meeting. Something happened with the grant. I think we voted something in, but I missed it because I was stuck at work.
Okay. Highway Committee, what say you?
We haven't met since, we did meet, but I gave that report last.
Okay. Regional Agreement Committee, I think is next Wednesday, Ms. Green? I wanna say it's next Wednesday.
I'm gonna have to check on that.
I think it is.
Yep.
Anything else on committee updates? Okay, amazing. Town Administrator Report, Ms. Green.
Okay. Well, earlier you recognized the Highway Department. I also wanted to recognize the Highway Department for the work they've done on the, making sure the streets in Hanson are salted and plowed and safe. They worked tirelessly during these storms, and we haven't had storms like this in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to recognize the Highway Department and the excellent work that they're all doing. We're not used to having this much snow, so, in a couple of years, so, you
Should
know.
be used to it.
The dedication to the safety of Hanson residents and motorists, they're unmatched, basically. Welcoming our new building commissioner, Michael Crisafulli, started yesterday. So I look forward to working with him. He's already stepped in and we talked about a lot of wonderful ideas that he has for the department. Interviews for candidates for the Veteran Service Officers, officer position. We've got an interview scheduled with good candidates on Thursday and Friday this week, so hopefully I'll have a finalist or two to present to the board at the next
How
meeting.
many candidates did you say?
I think we've got 4 candidates.
Oh, that's cool.
Good, strong.
Good.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Awesome.
So I'm very excited about that. And hopefully the administrative assistant position in our office, I'll bring candidates as well, on February 28th. We've postponed it a couple times because we've had people withdraw and then new applicants and people withdraw. So, I hope to bring at least, 2 or 3 candidates to the board for consideration on the 28th with recommendations.
25th.
I'm sorry, 25th, with recommendations. My town administrator is short, because I was out last week, but,
That's great.
that concludes my town administrator
Okay,
report for today.
amazing. Okay, Then with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session. We will not be returning to open session. Executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 38, section 21A1, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than the professional competence of an individual, or discuss the discipline or dismissal or complaints or charges against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual, gas and plumbing inspector. Executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 38, section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, IT director. Executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 38, section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. Litigation, discussions, union negotiations. I will entertain a motion to adjourn and enter executive session, and again, we will not be returning to open
So
session.
moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Aye.
I
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.